Iran is still committed to peace?
Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too.
Are you questioning if Israel is committed to peace?
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I've never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
Do you have to respond to Iran?
So Trump woke up yesterday kind of mad. He woke up early in the morning to hear Israel bombed Iran bombing Israel. Like, what the hell's going on? And I think that sentiment that Trump just said is like perfect Trump. Like, I think that's one of the reasons people voted for him. And I think Trump had really put to bed all this talk about, oh, Trump's controlled by Israel. No, I just think Trump sees them as an ally, right? And he sees them in for the most part aligned with his worldview. His kind of thoughts about the Middle East is just Netanyahu and Israel. They have more, personal interest in bombing Iran, attacking Iran, because they see Iran as a constant threat to their lives or whatever, or they just want to take over the whole Middle East. Who knows why? But I do know is their interest is a lot more narrower than Trump's. Trump's interest is more broader. And ahead of the NATO, all right, because this video is going to be about NATO, but I want to show you the attitude he woke up with, as you saw for the intro. And it just goes to show that Trump's not holding back anymore. He's tired of the nonsense. He's tired of all people taking advantage of us. And this was ahead of NATO, right? People was like, I want Trump to stay pissed off until after NATO. This is why. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez Perez, I'm not going to say all that, plans to derail the NATO summit, refusing to increase defense spending to 5%, much less the 2% Spain committed to spend in 2014. Trump is not happy. Right. But, these people started singing a different tune as soon as Trump showed up there. And you have Zelensky in a suit. Yes, Zelensky from Ukraine. That Zelensky, he decided to wear a suit to the NATO, and NATO already committed to try to match the spending that the U.S. is doing. Because if you look at the defense budget, I think here's a perfect illustration. This is unfair. This is unfair to the American taxpayer that we are contributing, and in the funny part, we're least at risk for conflict and war. And you're saying we contribute more to the pot than any other country combined, all the other countries combined? Make it make sense. And this is one of the reasons why I think Trump was able to push them to make their 5%. And here's a clip I want to show you, and then we'll get more into this battle of narratives that the media is really trying to undermine Trump's effectiveness in foreign policy negotiations and deals. Let's take a look.
For too long, one ally, the United States, carried too much of the burden of that commitment. And that changes today. President Trump, dear Donald, you made this change possible. Your leadership on this has already produced $1 trillion in extra spending from European allies since 2016. And the decisions today will produce trillions more for our common defense to make us stronger and fairer by equalizing spending between America and America's allies.
Let me first, before I go to spending, I just want to recognize your decisive action on Iran.
Thank you.
You are a man of strength, but you're also a man of peace. And the fact that you are now also successful in getting this ceasefire done between Israel and Iran, I really want to commend you for that.
Thank you.
And I think this is important for the whole world. Then on spending, it's absolutely true. I want to state here, without President Trump, this would not have happened. In 3 stages. When you became president in 2016, 2017, you forced Europeans and Canadians to pay more. At this moment, the result of that phase is $1 trillion extra aggregate defense spending by the Canadians and the Europeans. Then came phase 2, when you became president in January last year. Phase 2 is that all other countries not yet on 2% have now committed to the 2%. This is the old goal from Wales in 2014. 7 were not on 2%. Some were saying somewhere in the 2030s, now this year. all of them, including Canada, including Italy, including Belgium, they have all now committed to the 2%. And now comes the big splash. Today, we will decide to go to 5%. We have to keep ourselves safe for our adversaries, but also because it is fair to equalize with the United States. With this 5%, the Europeans and the Canadians will equalize their defense spending with the United States. So this is not about American taxpayers paying more. This is about Europeans, Canadians paying more. And again, this would not have happened. I'm really saying this here. And some people might criticize me, but then when I speak with them, they all say, yes, you're right. This would not have happened if you would not have been elected in 2016 and re-elected last year and back into office in January. So I want to thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
As you saw from that, NATO seems to want to match the amount of contributions that the U.S. by itself matches. And this is what Americans voted for. And if you're a foreigner, you know, not a foreigner, you're not a foreigner, we're on the internet. But if you're someone outside of the U.S. watching this video, I always bring home this sentiment that many people who voted for Trump, many Americans that voted for Trump is the popular president. Trump won the popular vote in 2024. One of the sentiments that Trump represented accurately was the fact that American taxpayers felt taken advantage of. That's the main thing, right? So when there was wars out there, we seen polls showing that foreigners, like people from non-Americans, believe that Americans should do more. And then I bring out the case, look how much money we're spending in the defense fund where we're the least at risk. Look at how much a military we have to spend money on, so that way you Europeans can brag about how you don't spend a lot of money on military defense. Of course, because the U.S. is essentially flipping the bill for all of you guys, and is defending all you guys with the defense spending. You have reallocated those resources to someone else. You made it the U.S. problem for your defense. And this is a problem and sentiment that many Americans could not stand about NATO. That's why many Americans here in the U.S. was calling for Donald Trump to take us out of NATO, because we saw it as a way of other countries taking advantage of us. And this step forward by NATO, equalizing the contributions, it puts more Americans at ease. And Trump made it possible. And all credit to where credit is due for Donald Trump. And I want to put this essentially because yesterday, Trump, he was going off with when Israel and Iran was here fighting like little brothers, like brothers in a family. And he called out the CNN for being losers because of how much garbage their coverage is, right? And this is him lambasting them. But I got a more interesting clip of him at NATO reiterating this point. But I want to show you an example of this with this one. Fake news CNN reporter said that there's a friendliness among the Death to America chants she witnessed in Iran. Make this make sense, guys, right? And people would like fight me, liberals and Democrats, right? Because only liberals and Democrats is the only political group in America that overwhelm the majority of them trust the mainstream media.
To Israel stays in place, and that is part of the discussion, right?
Yes, absolutely part of the discussion. And, I remember, Dan, at one point being in Tehran years ago, and they're chanting death to America all around me, even as I say, oh, I'm an American reporting for CNN, and they were happy to speak to me. So that those two is sort of jarring realities of the chant, and yet the friendliness have existed together. But I am...
And look at the framing. Fragile ceasefire between Iran and Israel remains in place. Fragile. Who put these adjectives in there? Like when I tell you, this is propaganda, bro. This is just anti-Trump propaganda, and this is why I say anti-Trumpism is going to ruin the Democratic Party. It's already ruining the Democratic Party to a point where socialists is about to win. It's ruining the mainstream media, right? And they wonder why Donald Trump couldn't trust Democrats with private military information, because everything the Democrat is doing, literally the establishment Democrat or whatever you want to call them, their main premise, their main proposition to the American voter is vote for us if you're against Trump. That's it. That's all they have. That's all they have. And everything is to fulfill that goal, to fulfill that conclusion. And I want to show you another clip. This is Marco Rubio setting the record straight on the fake news being spewed by CNN and all these other actors. And I'm going to make it the two separate clips in one. And it's going to highlight exactly what is wrong with liberals dominating certain industries.
No, first of all, on the stuff about the intelligence, This is what a leaker is telling you the intelligence says. That's the game these people play. They read it, and then they go out and characterize it the way they want it characterized, and they're leakers. This is the game they play. So that's number one. Number two, here's a fact. The conversion facility, which you can't do a nuclear weapon without a conversion facility, we can't even find where it is, where it used to be on the map. You can't even find where it used to be because the whole thing is just blackened out. It's gone.
It's wiped out.
It's wiped out. Then we dropped 12 of the strongest bombs on the planet right down the hole in 2 places. Everything underneath that mountain is in bad shape. And I refer you to the statement of the IAEA, Mr. Grossi. You know what he said? He said there was Iran, the way it looked the day before the attack, and what their nuclear program looks like now. 2 very different things. They are way behind where they were just 7 days ago. Now, anything in the world can be rebuilt, but now we know where it is. And if they try to rebuild it, we'll have options there as well. But all this leaker stuff, these leakers are professional stabbers. That's what they are. They go out and they read this stuff, and then they tell you what it says against the law, but they characterize it for you in a way that's absolutely false. There's no way Iran comes to the table if somehow nothing had happened. This was complete and total obliteration. They're in bad shape. They are way behind today compared to where they were just 7 days ago because of what the president did.
We hear it was obliteration. It was a virtual obliteration. When you take a look at the ground above, don't forget the flame is all underground. But everything above, if you look at the before and the after picture, everything above is burned black. The trees, everything. There's one building, but that's a building that sunk substantially into the granite, so that, you know, the fire goes right over it. It was, I believe it was total obliteration. I believe they didn't have a chance to get anything out because we acted fast. If it would have taken 2 weeks maybe, but it's very hard to remove that kind of material. Very hard and very dangerous for them to remove it. Plus, they knew we were coming, and if they know we're coming, they're not going to be down there. There aren't too many people that are going to be down there. Pete, do you have something to say about that?
Well, Mr. President, when you talk to the people who built the bombs, understand what those bombs can do, and deliver those bombs, they landed precisely where they were supposed to. So it was a flawless mission.
Flawless.
Right down where we knew they needed to enter. And given the 30,000 pounds of explosives and capability of those munitions, it was devastation underneath Fordo. And the amount of munitions, 6 per location, any assessment that tells you it was something otherwise is speculating with other motives. And we know that because when you actually look at the report, by the way, it was a top secret report, it was preliminary, it was low confidence. All right, so this isn't, you make assessments based on what you know.
And it said it could be very devastating, very serious.
Moderate to severe, and we believe far more likely severe and obliterated. So this is a political motive here.
I agree. It is political motives, right? I keep hinting at this political motive, right? Many people come out, right, and they're saying, "Oh, it could have been destroyed. Hey, we only set them back a couple months." And I'm like, okay, what's your information? Where are you basing this out on? Oh, a leaker, anonymous sources. Or are we going back to anonymous sources again, huh? And the framing from Pete Hegseth, Donald Trump, Marco Rubio, they're very confident that they destroyed that thing, right? If you're telling me 3,000 tons of explosives and then after that bunker buster hit, they drop some of their strongest bombs they have in their artillery on the same location, bruh. And the tactics that Marco Rubio laid out that, hey, if they attempt to rebuild, we know where they're rebuilding at and we can deal with them there as well. Iran doesn't come to a peace or to a ceasefire if they're only set back a couple of months. And this is the kind of games that highlights the problem with liberals dominating certain industries such as the media, right? Government officials, like if you see in Washington, 90% liberal, 90% Democrat. And you think there's no nefarious motive here to try to undermine Trump's successes? And the funny part about all this is that if you look at clips, Abby Phillips, I love watching her show, right? Because of Scott Jennings and all this stuff. No, every liberal candidate, they struggle to even say, good job, Donald Trump. Good job, President Trump, for how you executed this. Because it could have ended up very bad if it executed wrong. Precision strikes at the targets that the U.S. were interested in. They wasn't interested in regime change. Trump crawled back comments about regime change. He hit where he needed to hit. He hit the nuclear sites, and then he said, "Okay, we're good. We took care of what we were worried about. Israel, you on your own. Iran, you're on your own. But y'all need to come to a peace deal." Then when they started hitting at each other again, Trump was like, yo, stop this ish. Y'all don't know what y'all doing. Y'all don't know what the F y'all doing because y'all so used to war. And this kind of puts into perspective, and I think that Donald Trump earned back some of the concerns that some people had about U.S. involvement. There's some people who didn't want U.S. to be involved at all because of the fact that, look at the history of these people. They'll find another reason to fight. They'll find another reason to break the ceasefire. Let's not facilitate or be involved at all because it's just a waste of our time and our money and our energy and our attention. There's a lot of Americans who think this way, and I agree with that. But if there's something that, concerns us, our national security, we got a country here that's saying death to America, and they're trying to find ways to be able to attack us. And you got CNN trying to frame it as somehow their version of fiery but mostly peaceful. When you see CNN trying to do that, it's political motive. And I think if they're doing this, Trump is being effective. That the fact that they have to condition a lot of the things that Donald Trump done, I think Donald Trump has done a good job threading the needle, threading the line with these foreign actors, foreign countries, his foreign policy. I think it's great. It's good, measured, precise. Hey, we only going to be involved where we need to be involved, and then we're done. We're cutting off. We're good. We're good here. Job's finished. Let's focus on NATO. Hey, y'all need to equalize y'all contributions. We contribute $860 billion. Y'all better pony up. We ain't gonna sit here and pay for all you guys' defenses, and you expect us to intervene and be involved in all your wars. Y'all better pony up. And it seems like that's the case. And the political motive here is really the left. They're trying their damnness. And this is why Trump is so popular. They're trying their damnness to undermine him, to try to highlight him as somehow being ineffective. The Feds just announced that maybe in July they'll cut rates if the reports for June comes up to be favorable, and I think it will be. The liberal media has been wrong. Liberal economists has been wrong time and time again, and they still expect the American people to trust them. That's the irony of all this. The audacity of the left. Wrong about everything, but still want trust. Make it make sense. Trust only comes with results. And given the results that Donald Trump has been giving us so far from when it comes to foreign, domestic policy, I think he did a damn good job. And this is why a lot of people stand with Trump. Because he means what he say. Hey, I want peace. I don't care if Israel wants regime change in Iran. I don't need to. I don't want to waste American lives or American dollars or Americans' time on this. Time to move on. Ceasefire. And somehow you got AOC trying to say that he broke every promise that he made. Make it make sense. This is a Democrat for you. And the contrast between the Democratic Party and Donald Trump, it couldn't be any more clearer. Donald Trump proves every day why he won the popular vote. Donald Trump proves every day why the Democratic Party is the most unpopular party it's ever been in its history. When you put up the Democratic Party as a whole's approval ratings to Donald Trump, big gap, 30% gap, 20% gap. You put any individual Democrat, you line them up against Donald Trump, they're less popular than Donald Trump. But they still want to fearmonger. They still want to put negative coverage on him. And this is why many people can't stand liberals right now. This is why right now liberals have no leg to stand on, because their bias, their anti-Trump bias, effectively made them ineffective, not valuable to the American people. And until they start bringing alternatives to the table, just being against Trump ain't going to work. Let me know your thoughts and perspectives in the comment section below. I'll be interested to hear what you guys have to say. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate you guys watching to the end of the video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.